Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Connect with VP Hecht, your guide to all things student life at Florida State University. I am Dr. Amy Hecht, the Vice President for Student Affairs, and I am joined by Freddy Juarez, Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life at Florida State, and Lucie Grace, our VP of Panhellenic Recruitment. So welcome. Let's get started. So what is Panhellenic?
So Panhellenic is an organization that consists of 17 women's sororities here on Florida State's campus. It focuses on community engagement, philanthropy, and scholarship. We are just a sisterhood that consists of so many more things than I can put into words, but we're just a big, loving community.
Why did you join, and what has it done for you?
So I came from a smaller hometown. Most of my close friends from home I've been friends with basically my entire life. So when I was coming to Florida State, I was looking to get a little bit more. I just wanted to grow, and I wanted to expand my horizons and not stick just with the same people. Obviously, they're amazing friends, but I wanted to just meet some more people. So I registered for recruitment. Honestly, pretty early on. I was just set to do it. I didn't really know anything about sorority life. My mother wasn't in a sorority, but I was just, you know what, I'm going to try it. And I had a great recruitment experience, and I have loved being in Panhellenic and my individual chapter for the past 3 years. I didn't really know what to expect going in, what this community would do for me, but I've become a woman that I probably wouldn't have recognized my freshman year. I've grown so much more than I even expected to, and I've been able to do so many different leadership experiences.
That's amazing. That is a good plug to go Greek, join a Panhellenic sorority. Now, some of our viewers may be following along on Instagram, looking at different chapters, different universities, and watching sorority recruitment, or have seen it in movies. And it looks a little scary. Is it all about what you're wearing and who you know, and what if I'm not a legacy?
Absolutely not. Like I just said, I was not a legacy, and I've happily found my home, and I've never felt like that was an issue at all. Our community does not care about what you are wearing. We are a values-based recruitment process, so all you have to do is show up and be yourself, and you'll find the place that's meant for you.
That's good, because I do think recruitment is a little more than a week, but 4 years, 3 years, depending on what you're going through recruitment, it's a long time to not be yourself. So that's really good advice.
For sure.
And what should the women that might think that they're only going to be happy in this chapter, you know, maybe an older sister is already in this sorority, or friends, what advice do you give women that are going to go through and have their heart set on one particular place?
I always tell the women who have a very clear goal in mind to keep it as open mind as possible. And the same advice I just said, if you're yourself, you don't want to join a chapter where you don't feel comfortable being yourself. Obviously, all 17 of our chapters you would be able to be comfortable in, but there are better fits than others for everybody. And so even if there's one that you go in knowing off the bat that you love, you might find another place that you really, really like during recruitment. And just keep an open mind, and you don't have to go the place that you thought you would. You can do whatever you want during the recruitment process.
As we tell people, you know, I think we tell them all the time, there's about 4,300 women in our community. Most chapters have around 250, 270 women. The chances of you finding folks that are in your fit is pretty high. So even if you come in with this preconceived notion of a certain kind of group to join, it's really about your individual journey. Even with family members, we see family members join, and they join a different chapter than their sister is because they're a different person than their sister. Yeah. We even have twins in different chapters that come in, right? So it's really about your journey, what you want, finding your people. We talk about it a lot, that with sorority recruitment and just in general with any joining process, we're just trying to help people find people to have lunch with on campus, making campus feel just a little bit more connected and giving you that gateway that Lucie was talking about earlier to get involved with the different opportunities and finding your people even on campus.
Yeah, and you have older sisters that can guide you, get you involved once you're in the sorority, as well as alumni, networking, career. So I'm looking at my application, I'm at home, I'm worried about this application. What do I need to focus on? What matters when I fill this form out and sign up for sorority recruitment?
Just be yourself in your application. Whatever is important to you is what's important on that application. The chapters are just looking to get to know you, and they can't do that very well if you don't portray yourself well.
Yeah.
So I would just recommend doing whatever comes to mind. Like
Okay.
when I did my application, I have no memory of what I said, but I know that I was true to myself, and it worked out at the end for me.
And you put a picture on your application?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So you'll add a picture, high school, maybe headshot. What about your GPA? Does that matter?
Our chapters all have a minimum requirement GPA, so that does factor in, but it won't like affect your journey.
Yeah. And so many of our incoming class has incredible GPAs, so they're most likely all at that level. Yeah. But that is important to the sororities, right? The academic journey and keeping up the good grades.
Yes.
Right? Okay. What do the Panhellenic community do to help students academically? Like whether it's in their major or figuring out what they want to major in or careers, like what are the programs that exist?
I think chapter-wise, it varies. Most chapters do study hours where sisters can just go to the chapter facilities and study together. Certain chapters have major mentors, so you get paired with an older sister that's either the same or similar major that can help you with advising. A lot of chapters have group chats that's specifically meant for class registration and have you had this professor, all of the things that you're looking for when you're trying to focus on academics. And it can even go more detailed, whereas a younger member might be looking to get into research and an older sister is currently conducting research, and so they can help them either find their own project or join that project.
So I've registered, I'm doing my back to school shopping, I'm worried about what to wear, and it's really hot in Tallahassee. Now I'm originally from South Florida, and it is hotter here. So what is the tried and true? You've been here now 3 years. We know August is hot every year, Freddy.
Sure is.
Or thunderstorming. What should they be preparing, packing, thinking through so they're comfortable? Because like you said, it's not about kind of what they're wearing, but if they're uncomfortable or really hot or not hydrated, it's not going to be the best experience. So walk me through your tips.
So the word comfortable that you used is the only thing that I would ever say about what to wear. You have to know that it's going to be hot. It might rain, but just wearing whatever you're comfortable and confident in. Confidence is another great thing. It's easier to be yourself if you feel like yourself, so wear something that reflects who you are as a person. When I went through recruitment, some of the stuff I wore was something I was gifted. Some of it was things I'd had hand down. Like I just wore whatever I felt comfortable in and confident in, and that's all I can say to everybody.
And you're walking a lot.
Yes, shoes are important. That is the one thing I stress.
Comfortable shoes.
Yes,
not
comfortable
not the heels.
shoes. And if you are daring to wear shoes that you wouldn't deem comfortable, please try and break them in at least. Make them as comfortable as possible if you're set on a specific pair of shoes, because it has happened time and time again where people will quick change into more comfortable flats.
Yes.
And you
I
will be
always see the women with the heels and the flip-flops. But one thing, especially for those that live south of Tallahassee, the hills. I don't know if you've walked the hills, and it is a workout. It is a workout. So tell me, what are the tricks? Are you just in shape now because you've done this for 3 years? Like, what is the advice? Should they be on treadmills?
No, you don't need to prepare your body to go through recruitment. It's not to that extreme, but you do need to be aware with what you're wearing that you're gonna be sweating and you're gonna be walking a lot, especially round one. But for me, I have gotten used to the hills.
Walk me through. So we probably have thousands of women that are going to register for recruitment. Do they get placed in small groups? Are they led by an upperclassman? What is it like? What is day one, day two? Walk me through the days and how you've organized this experience.
So each woman will be put in a recruitment counselor group. They will receive those sometime in the summer.
Okay.
Their ROGAM, which is what we call our recruitment counselors, will guide them through getting ready for recruitment. They'll guide them through the actual recruitment process. They're there with them every step of the way. So they won't meet them on day one. They'll meet them on day -17.
Okay.
So they'll be gearing up, answering any questions they may have. They'll be in smaller groups, maybe like 16, 17 women per group. So they'll also get to meet other potential new members, make some of those immediate friendships without even having to join the community. But the rounds themselves, round 1, every woman will visit every single chapter, 17. So those are some longer days for sure. And then round 2, that's when you start being on your own. Your recruitment counselor isn't guiding you around anymore, so you'll be visiting the parties by yourself.
Okay.
That round is focused on investment. So
And how does that work? Do they just decide where they want to return? Does the chapter decide, or is it mutual?
It's a mutual decision.
Okay.
So the potential new members will go in and rank the chapters based on the ones that they would like to return to.
Okay.
And then the chapters will do their processes as well. And then on the first day of each round, they'll receive their schedule for that current round.
And that's a big concern for everyone. Everyone thinks that there's some secret formula that they have to break or some algorithm they have to figure out. Yeah. It truly is about, where did you have a good experience? We don't even frame it from, you're going to be ranking all 17 chapters even on that first round. You actually select your 12 number ones, and then there's 5 alternates. And that's the kind of language we use, because ultimately, it's what I said earlier, right? There's 250, 270 women. You might, in a round, meet 2 or 3 of those women.
And how long is the first party?
So it's about 20 minutes is the first round. You're spending 20 minutes. Realistically speaking, by the time someone says hey to you, and then you're sitting down on the couch that they're going to talk to you for, you're really spending about 15, 17 minutes talking to someone. Yeah. Like, the chances of you being like, I know everything about this chapter, it's very small. And so what we preach is really keeping an open mind. The process will guide you to meet more people and be able to talk to more people, because as Lucie Grace is talking about, the next round is investment. You get to spend 30 minutes. The round after that's leadership and service. You spend 40 minutes. And then preference, which is our sisterhood round, you're spending 50 minutes. So every round you increase by 10 minutes.
And you get to know them more.
Exactly.
Okay. Now 17 chapters, 15 minutes. How do you keep track of everyone? And what if I don't know the Greek alphabet? What is your advice to remember?
We have a guide for potential new members that includes like note sections, and it has every single chapter, all of their information. We do actually have the Greek alphabet at the back of the packet.
Good.
So as a potential new member who had no idea about Greek life, I definitely utilized that.
Most of us don't know the Greek alphabet when we graduate high school, I would say. So
we also try and help by using the chapter's full names. Nicknames are great, and we love our nicknames, but it's a lot easier to keep track of our chapters when you're calling them the full Greek name.
2 or 3.
There are a lot that are very similar, like 1-letter difference, and so the nicknames can get really confusing. I fell victim to that a few times, so making sure that you're writing it down.
Okay.
After each round, after each party, I would write down little, to jog my memory, we talked about books.
You know, it's interesting, because that is great advice when our students get ready to network. If you're networking, sorority recruitment or any event, is you meet people and you could write, if you get a business card, write down, because you want to be able to follow up. And this is about building a relationship and a real friendship. And all of our listeners and watchers have built friendships. And so that's really how they probably should look at this, and not as some sort of competition or secret ballot. What about money? There's a lot of rumors or perceptions that it's very expensive, and there's dues. What are the real costs? Roughly, I know each chapter is different, but what could the young people expect? They're coming in, their parents might not have gone Greek. What should they know in advance?
So our like you mentioned, they do vary by chapter, the dues that you're paying. It is true, you do pay to be in these organizations, and that what we talk about during investment round is what you're investing comes back to you. So there's usually meal plans. Currently, all of our chapters offer meal plans, so that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
There's the chapter facilities themselves. Those go into a lot of things. So while they are varied, I can't give you like an exact number.
But that will all be made available.
Yes. During investment round, each chapter that the P&Ms visit during that round specifically will give them a presentation on their finances, and it's also in that P&M guide I was mentioning earlier.
Excellent. And I think it's important, if a student did sign up for an FSU meal plan and joins a sorority, they can get out of the Florida State meal plan so that they can fully participate in their sorority meal plan, or alter it in any way they need, because that is really important for new members to eat at these beautiful houses, beautiful, and the food's amazing, but make friends and really utilize these spaces and go to the events, because you are paying for them. And that's why they have these beautiful houses, meal plans, events. What if I don't find a house? Or what if I get sick during recruitment? Are there things that happen, and have I blown my chances because this is my first year and something goes wrong?
So we have a lot of different people we work with when it comes to conflicts or things, because we get that a lot.
Yeah.
We have some students that are like, I have student orientation, maybe during that weekend, or I have this orientation that's major specific that I have to do it. So most important thing is that there will be emails sent out throughout the summer telling your recruitment counselor, hey, I have this conflict. Important to know, we only have university approved conflicts, right? So you pre-planned a concert that you want to go in Atlanta, that we can't accommodate that. There's no Zoom option for recruitment.
Right.
It is a fully in-person experience. If you get sick or if something happens during that period, we work with you and we work individually with it, and we don't see that it impacts your chances. Our chapter women understand to use their application for certain things, or their scoring in their rounds and kind of things like that of how they did. And what I mean by scoring is just like how they're also kind of talking to you about like, do we think this person's a good fit? Do we not? And that's kind of what it is to demystify some of those words you may get through other sources that exist out there about the information. And so definitely thinking about those things would be important. Your recruitment counselor is your number one person to talk about, right? So every person has a recruitment counselor. That you are assigned that person from the moment you register for recruitment. About 2-3 weeks after we open registration, that recruitment counselor is going to start talking to their PNMs, and they're going to start reaching out over the summer. And so if you have a random number that reaches out and says, hi, I'm Lucie Grace and I'm your recruitment counselor, like, please respond back. Yeah. And that's your greatest advocate.
Okay. And do they help weigh into the recruitment process? So if I tell them something or have conversation with them about a chapter, do they influence my selection process in any way, or help get me in or not?
Your recruitment counselor has gone through an entire semester's worth of training so as to not influence your decision.
Okay.
They are there to guide you and help you, but it is 100% your journey.
Okay.
So if you are looking for advice, they will try and navigate that conversation without choosing something for you. That will never happen, but they are there to be your confidant if you are torn or worried about something. They're there to listen and to guide.
And they're not reporting back to their chapters.
Nope.
They don't have communication with their chapters. Our recruitment counselors, we sleep in an offsite hotel. Like, we're all together all the time.
And you don't know what organization they belong to?
At all. Mm-mm.
Okay, it's a big reveal at the
It
very
is.
end.
Big reveal at the very end.
is.
It's a wonderful tradition. And it really, because what we prioritize with our recruitment counselors, it's not about our journey. It's about that individual student that's trying to join our organizations. And we want them to feel at home.
Yeah.
And that even if they choose not that sorority, maybe they go through the process, sorority's not for them, that they at least still know some upperclassmen and some other folks on this campus, and we get them connected with other clubs and other organizations and other things to do, because we have a whole Welcome FSU program that we run as an institution, and they can go and experience and engage in those things too. And some of our women will go through recruitment, and then at night they're like, I still want something to do, and we have a concert for them at the Union Green, and they can go enjoy that, right? And so we connect them with all those resources as well. Our recruitment counselors are great at doing that.
Very good.
And they're the ROGAM for life, basically, at this point.
They stay in touch.
They stay in touch.
And what if, do we have students that have gone through already? Maybe they went through their first year, didn't finish for any number of reasons, and are going through a second time or a third time. I don't know. What are their chances? Are there other tips or different tips for those that have already experienced pieces of our recruitment process?
There's not a different, like, their chances of joining a specific chapter are not decreased because they've been through recruitment before. If anything, sometimes it's an advantage because they know what to expect. They're more prepared just because they've already experienced recruitment. They're always welcome to come back.
And it's also not experience just for our first time in college students. Like, if you're a sophomore. Maybe you didn't even register when you were a first-time in college student, and you want to register later.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any impact on you. We have juniors, we have seniors that join, sophomores that join. As long as you're an undergraduate student and you are degree seeking here at Florida State, and you have an opportunity to join our groups. And the students on the back end that are in a sorority, they actually don't have like different categories. Like, you're not losing out. There's like this myth. There's a rumor that it's like, oh my God, they're only taking freshmen, and because I'm a sophomore, I'm going to lose out on that experience on a spot. And that actually, we find out, is not the case at all. There's they're kind of held in two different kind of spots, and that's another thing on spots. Some people are like, how many spots are you taking? I wouldn't be able to tell you right now. Because we don't limit it on a certain amount of spots that each organization has. It varies by the amount of women that register for recruitment.
Okay.
And do we have spots for everyone? Probably.
If they go through the process, fully participate, and don't limit their options, right? I always hear that. Don't limit your options. And so talk to me about limiting your options. And I know during the recruitment process, as it comes to an end, you'll hear more of that. If students maximize their options, fully participate, they have a almost 100% chance, 99% chance of finding a sorority that will be their home. So tell me about how that works. What does that mean when I say maximize your choices?
So, like Freddy said, when we are going through the selection process, they are selecting the chapters that they would like to return to. Sometimes people or PNMs will ask if they could put another chapter somewhere else, change the way that they're doing the selection process. So when we say maximize your options, it means that when you're doing the selection process, there will be for round 2, there's 12 ones. For preference round, which is when this is usually brought
the big
up,
topic. Yeah.
there's 2 number 1 slots. And so maximizing your options would just be putting both chapters.
Putting as many as you can.
As many as you can. If you visited 2 chapters during preference round, which is not always, if you do that and put both, that would be maximizing
That
your
would be
options.
maximized. Okay.
Yeah, we just want our students to have an open mind.
Yeah.
And just try it and go through it. And sometimes you may not have connected with a chapter during a specific round, and then the next round, our recruitment counselor says, just try it out. You're already here, right? What do you have to lose? Just go try it out.
There's
and they go.
and something people.
Exactly.
Surely somebody.
And then they meet someone new, and that could be a future big, and they didn't even know that in the first place if they didn't even try it out. And so we get that feedback a lot. That our recruitment counselors do a great job of saying, just go try it out, and you're already there.
What about hazing? So I am not Greek. I actually am Greek, but if I was not Greek and my family wasn't, and I've seen the movies and I've seen some headlines, do sororities haze, and what do you do about that? And what are the prevention efforts that, Freddy, you have been leading nationally to fight against?
So there's a no hazing tolerance policy within the fraternity and sorority life community at Florida State. So I've never been hazed. That's not an experience I've had. And we have precautions and procedures in place if that were to occur. Report.fsu.edu is a great resource. You can report things anonymously. You can put your name on it. You can give as many details as you would like. The more the better. And then we will look into it.
We spend a lot of time talking about it with our new member educators, making sure that they're creating experiences for our potential new members and new members that are in line with the organizational values. I think at this point, we've gotten to a good place where everyone understands that we're trying to create a process that people feel safe in, but that they're allowed to succeed in. We have a strong philosophy that hazing should have no part in that process. You're going to be taught how to engage with individuals positively and how to enhance your student experience. So proactively, we're doing those things with our new member educators, our chapter presidents, our members, but at the same time, we're also helping our new members also identify what's ordinary versus out of ordinary.
And what is pushing me outside my comfort zone that's going to cause positive growth versus what is dangerous.
And then whenever that happens and we get a report, we look at every single thing that gets reported, even if it's anonymous. What we do tell people all the time is that if you are going to report something anonymous, please give as much detail as you possibly can. However, I will tell you that our organizations have created an environment where our members feel generally safe. and they feel supported and comfortable, which is why we have most of our members that go through the process of recruitment, join a chapter, they do end up getting initiated, and they end up having such a great experience. So,
once a student joins a fraternity, a sorority in this case, they are part of a new member class. Walk me through that. So I'm a new member, it used to be called a pledge. We don't use that term anymore. Walk me through being a new member, and I heard you reference big. You get a big, or a big sister is what that is short for, and you become somebody's little sister. Talk me through new member and that big little relationship.
So the new member process is probably, unless you seek like leadership, probably when you're going to be the most involved heavily in your chapter, because you're learning about the history of your chapter, you're getting to know all of the people. Many chapters do retreats where you're bonding with your individual new member class. It's a lot of fun. I loved my new member period. It's really as much as you put into it. You could just show up for your new member education meetings. You can come for lunch. It really is what you put into it. Some people say it's like adding a 3-credit-hour course.
Wow.
I don't know if I'd go that far. It depends
But
on.
it's fun. It's a fun course.
It's a fun course. It's
Okay.
not something that you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm getting tested on anything.
Yes.
And the big little process is such a highlight for me. You get a mentor and a mentee eventually. I love being a big. Being a little was awesome, but I've always been one of the younger people in the crowd. So it was really fun for me to be a mentee.
Yeah.
My little and I met instantly. That doesn't happen for everybody. I recruited her day one, round one of
Oh,
recruitment.
wow.
And I was like, that is my little sister. My big and I didn't meet until 5 weeks into my new member process, and we're just as close. So the big little process really looks different for everybody, but it doesn't have to be your best friend. Like big little doesn't have to be that. It can be, which is amazing, but it's really just someone to look up to, just ask questions to. Because at the time when I was a new member, I was like, can I eat stuff from the fridge, or can I only eat stuff that's in the snack cabinet? And a big is a great person to go to ask those questions that you might be
Absolutely.
a little bit embarrassed to just ask a random member, which you never should be. but-
Okay. So you're getting a built-in mentor, a built-in big sister to kind of guide you, ask questions, make you feel more a part of the sorority. Excellent. And how long does that new member period last, that 3-credit course that you said? That's really fun, but a 3-credit course. How long does it usually take?
I'd say like 2 to 3 months. I think if you're joining in the fall, usually you'll be a full member by Halloween.
Okay.
Like you'll be initiated by Halloween. So I can't do the math right now, but that amount of time is typically the new member
Good measure.
process.
so typically about 6-7 weeks to give you
6-7
like
weeks.
6-7
Okay.
weeks of your
Very
time,
good.
but it is such a good time for you to just hone in and focus. It's purely fun almost the whole time, and your big also connects you to the rest of campus too, because they're also typically a sophomore, junior, senior, and they've been around for a little bit, and so they can also connect you to the rest of campus in different ways too. Prior to you getting a big, it is typical for organizations to also pair you up during your new member process with other folks as you get to know people, because some people are
Okay.
like, well, how am I supposed to know the whole chapter? The sororities will have a process for you to kind of meet different people. It's kind of like an extension of recruitment. You're already in, you're not trying to prove anything to anyone, but you're kind of just paired with people so you can have someone to have lunch with, coffee with, and ask some more questions.
Overwhelming to join a group of 200 plus women
Correct.
and get to know everybody.
Yeah. So it
Okay.
makes it a little bit easier for you to digest that.
Now, do you have to live in these sorority houses if you join?
No, you do not.
Okay.
It's an option for most chapters, but it is not required.
It's not required. Very good.
And I will say that most of our folks, right, so the people living in our sorority houses are not freshmen, so there's not really a lot of opportunities for our newer members to just immediately move in. I know on some campuses across the country that might be something. They move in the spring. That's not the case here.
Yeah.
It is traditionally seen as like a privilege and something that people really seek to do.
Okay.
So typically the people that live on campus in our sorority houses are juniors, seniors,
Okay.
upperclassmen that have been there for a little bit.
So it's something you've got to earn. And you're not going to be forced to do it because
Correct.
everyone wants to. Very
Correct.
good.
Everybody wants to. They all want to live. It's a beautiful experience, and that's a whole other kind of experience that people to look forward to.
Well, they're all beautiful homes, great location, safe, and walking distance. So why would you not want to live in some of these gorgeous mansions? So, well, you are obviously both big fans and proponents for going Greek at Florida State. Looking back on your 3 years and now becoming a senior, being on Panhellenic Exec, what is your favorite fraternity and sorority life experience you've had at FSU?
Oh, wow. That, honestly, I should be more prepared to answer questions like that. It's so hard because so many things come to mind. Being a part of Panhellenic has been a highlight for me. I've done basically everything you can do as a Panhellenic woman to get involved in Panhellenic, from new member all the way to now. But I feel like the best moments are the ones in between for me, like the ones you would never really talk about, like my little and I just watching Harry Potter or something and making popcorn and hanging out, and just having those moments where you kind of dissociate a little bit and you're like, wait, like I can't believe all of this is happening, and like this is super normal for me, which it wouldn't have been for me growing up.
Well, it is time for our segment of Ask Amy, and we're going to wrap up this show. Our first question I received is, Dear Amy, how do I know which chapter is the right fit for me? And I actually think that is a great question for you to answer one more time. So how do they know it's the right fit?
I mean, that's dependent on how confident you are. That is a personality thing. Some people are like, yes, this is my home. Others are more so, they're really cool. I really get along with them. It doesn't have to be that like
Doesn't
snap
have to always be love at
connection.
first sight.
No, it
can
does not have
grow.
to be.
Okay.
Some people will cite their new member retreat as the moment they knew that that was their home. It doesn't have to happen during recruitment. It's awesome if it does, but it just depends on each person. But whatever you feel, you'll know when you feel it. It might not be a big burst of excitement, but you'll feel it.
That's good advice, and not compare yourself with other people who might have a different response than you do. So what does the financial and time commitment look like with joining a sorority? We've already talked about this new member period that is probably the most intense, 6-7 weeks. Financially, it sounds like it ranges, but you are getting almost 3 meals at least 5 days a week, plus different parlor fees for the house and maintaining the house, and some socials, I imagine. And that is covered in the guide. So they should check the guide.
Yep, they should check the guide. There's going to be an individual breakdown of every chapter. You can expect a range anywhere from $2,000 to $3,200 per semester. But again, that's inclusive of a meal plan. And you get meals, typically it's lunches Monday through Friday, and then dinner Sunday through Thursday. Some organizations do brunches, and like it is a kind of more of a cruise ship experience. You kind of pay that, and then you don't really necessarily have to pay for the functions. It's all included. The retreats are included. Those things are included in kind of your fees. So everyone will have a breakdown, and each chapter will have a specific thing. And then during investment round, each chapter will also do a presentation that walks all the students through every piece of finance that exists and what they're getting for it, because that's also important.
That's important to know. So my last Ask Amy question is, what do sororities look for in potential new members, and what should I talk about or not talk about? I think it's a good question. Some people aren't accustomed to making small talk and meeting someone. What are the topics they should stay away from? Are there things they should think about in advance if they're very nervous about trying to engage upper class women through this experience?
I think it's important to remember it's a values-based recruitment, so the conversations should be about you as an individual and like what you value and who you are like deeply as like a woman. So I would stay away from topics that don't represent that, like who you are.
Yeah.
Each round does have a topic of sorts. You don't have to stick to those topics during your conversation. You don't need to be like, we didn't talk about academics during scholarship round. That's okay. Talk about whatever you feel comfortable. Take the it's just a conversation, and that eases a lot of nerves, because sometimes you're going in and you're like, oh, it's an interview.
Yeah.
That's definitely a preconceived notion I had going through. And then I sat down and we talked about my favorite book for 15 minutes, and the person recruited me had also read the book. It just depends on what you're comfortable talking about. You never have to take the conversation somewhere you don't want it to go.
It sounds like our overachievers should really, at a minimum, just think about what their values are. What are they looking for? Why would they want to join a sorority, and have that at the forefront going into sorority recruitment? That is it for today's episode of Connect with VP Hecht. I hope you've learned something about FSU sorority recruitment, and I hope you feel more prepared to join us on campus this fall and have a wonderful recruitment.